my gosh, it's a Friday, Fundraisers Friday, the best day of the week.
Best day of the week. Zoom, Zoom. The week is over.
Holy moly. I'm telling you, it's somebody gave me a quote yesterday that said, the days are long, but the years are short.
It's true.
And I was like, sister, you're talking about my life. And so, yeah, already it's here. I still have a lot of work to do. I would imagine you do too, Tony, but we are here to talk about where we can find fundraising talent. I
Mhm.
mean, this is like a huge topic, isn't it?
It is a really big topic, and especially as we look at so many folks who are being displaced because of contracts ending. There's just a lot happening, and that's an understatement.
Right.
So there is a lot of talent out there, but how do we find them? How do we know that they're right for our organization? And what are some of the key things we should be thinking about when we're looking at talent acquisition? It's a very timely topic.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way you frame this up. I mean, because it's something that is not a new story. It's just going to be amplified, I feel like. You know,
Mhm.
who amplifies us every day on the Nonprofit Show are our amazing partners. And they include Bloomerang American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, JMT Consulting, Interim Executives Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, Fundraisers Friday, and okay, Tony, we're going to add a new kind of sponsor probably next week, but it's going to be in the form of, drum roll, a book. Going to be kind of exciting. Should we talk about this or not? Our book.
Absolutely.
You're looking at me like, what the hell is she talking about?
Why would I stop you? So yes, let's do it. I mean, yes.
Well, it's really exciting news for us on the Nonprofit Show on Fundraisers Friday because the amazing Mr. Nonprofit Consultancy guru himself, Tony Beall, and I are collaborating on a book all about fundraising. And so I'm really honored. I'm really excited. And so we're going to start, talking more about that. This is just a little bit of a tease, isn't it?
It is, but yeah, I'm super excited always to collaborate with you, Julia, and yes, more to follow, but super exciting.
Yeah, more to come. It's like really, really amazing. Well, again, I'm Julia C. Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy, Tony Beall, Mr. Nonprofit Consultancy. So let's dig into this because, as you mentioned when we got going, it's really a heavy topic. And I said in the green room, Tony, you are the one that I think has been the best at articulating that not all team members in a development group are the same. And I'd love for you to kind of share with us a little bit more about that stratification of talent.
Yeah, so we try to be really mindful of our audience, and some folks coming from small or medium sized organizations, and others that come from large organizations with just this org chart that would blow your mind if you were to take a look at it in terms of the amount of resources that they have. Uh, but regardless of that, we know that there are various roles within fundraising and where your organization might be at currently or where it might be headed. So, again, being mindful of what you need right now and what you're going to need based on the growth of the organization, kind of based on what your donor pipeline looks like as you start recruiting new team members. What I mean by that is right now, for a small organization, a development associate may be very appropriate. So that's going to be someone, and it's funny, I'm going to segue already a little bit. I was having a conversation with someone the other day who's a hiring manager and has a team that she loves. And it's a young team of fundraisers. And when I say young, I mean young in terms of their experience, in this particular market. But we had this great conversation about, you know, embracing someone that has high will and low skill all day long. So, especially when we're looking at development associates, some of the entry level positions, but even director level positions, and most recently, I saw a CEO position that was filled with someone that had high will but low skill when it comes to actually performing the functions of the role. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't skills from a previous market
Right.
or jobs that aren't transferable. It just
Right.
means kind of the lived experience, in that role. So again, not all development team members are the same. There are various roles. The skill sets that are expected from development professionals is just crazy when you
Mhm.
think of all of the different things that fundraisers are expected to know about and to do,
Right.
in their roles. So I'll just start with that, Julia, and just saying, you know, recognize that there are various roles. Where is your organization now versus where it needs to be? And
Mhm.
how do you need to kind of redefine some of these roles as you're looking to either replace or add new talent?
Right. So let's dig into that because I feel like from what people ask me and what I hear in my community and really across the nation too, it's like, I got to get this person right now, right now. And I think it's a really interesting thing to almost take a look at your human assets and say, what is it that you have? What's the talent? But what is it that you're going to need? And so, how do we do that? Do we say, this is a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year? I mean, how do we prognosticate forward and then try and determine what that talent is going to be? Or should it be like right now, get a warm body in?
Yeah, well, I think that opens up an opportunity for us to talk about kind of interim and fractional workers.
Okay.
So if you lean into that mindset, you can bring in professionals that are highly skilled in these roles to kind of serve as interim or fractional while you do the data mining and the future planning to kind of figure out what you really need.
Mhm.
Pro tip, those folks can be really valuable in that conversation. So
Mhm.
once they've served in that role as an interim or fractional for sometimes as short as a month, they're going to have incredible insights that they can share with you around the real skill sets and mindsets. Let's not forget about mindsets
Mindset,
that
yeah.
are going to be needed in order for someone to come in and fully serve in that capacity.
I love that you said that because I hadn't really thought about that in relationship to development. Because I know with interim work, like we have the amazing Interim Executives Academy, they train their professionals that go out across the North America, really globally, but predominantly in North America, to be taking assessments and not they're not babysitters, that they're really assessing, trying to figure out and then representing back to the board, back to leadership, hey, this is what we see, where you're going to be best served and the type of talent and what you need so that you can move forward on your mission, vision, and values. So I like that you said that because I don't think we think about development that way. We think about like the C-suite leadership that way, but for some weird reason, we don't lump development in there that way.
Well, I know many folks that are contract workers for nonprofits that are helping with development, but it's again a very specific role. So they might be supporting the big annual event. So they
Right.
have outsourced the development talent to manage the annual event, and that would include logistics, sponsorship, all of the bells and whistles that come along with that. You might want to bring someone in to help support a year-end campaign or an annual campaign or peer-to-peer giving, just to kind of keep things moving along while you're figuring out exactly what does the role look like for someone that is working on relationship-driven one-on-one fundraising.
Mhm. So let me ask you this. And this is kind of like a crystal ball thing, chicken and egg, if you will. But do you use that phrase, high will, low skill? Do you pull back the reins a little bit and say, this is what our revenue goals are, our fundraising goals? Um, where's the team that can achieve that and work backwards? Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yeah, if you have like a low goal, it's easier to take a risk on somebody. But if you have like a crazy big role, maybe you're even operating from a point of a deficit, or you've lost federal funds with this
Sure.
administrative change. Hello, not a new story. Everybody's dealing with that.
Right. Yeah, no, it's
And
a great question. I think the high will, low skill is very specific to, I would say, some of the, and I don't want to say lower level because that just is demeaning, but some of the more entry level growth opportunity roles
okay.
within an organization. But it also depends on your level of risk taking. Like, I mentioned a CEO here locally that was brought on to run an organization, no fundraising experience at all, no nonprofit experience, but definitely team building experience, business development experience, marketing experience. So a lot of those core competencies existed within that individual, and they were very passionate about the mission of the organization. So that person, you could maybe argue that they weren't so low skill, but in this space, they were low skill because they didn't have the lived experience that other candidates might have had.
Mhm. Well, and as much as I love AFP and the CFRE designation, I think sometimes that can hogtie us a little bit because we think, oh, they have to have been on that journey and they have to have those accreditations. And so it's easy to like look away from somebody who you might be like, wow, they are a superstar. They just haven't been in the sector enough or long enough or ever. I mean, so I love what you said. Good business is good business.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Okay, so you've given us some ideas about the different types of talent we need, what we have versus what we want, where that takes us. So then let's get into the meat and the potatoes, or as we say in my family, the carne y las papas. How do we know what to find and where should we go about, you know, championing, hey, come work with us?
Yeah, for sure. So yes, so we talked about understanding what you need, like you said, and a lot of that's data driven. Where are we? Where do we need to go? What does the pipeline look like for our organization currently? What changes are happening in our marketplace? You know, are a lot of folks moving out of our region? So we need to be mindful of that. Do we have an influx of people moving into our region? So staying close to a lot of the, you know, business development organizations in your community will help you kind of understand what's going on with that. But posting openings on nonprofit sector job boards, yes. I mean, there's the AFP job board. There's all the normal things, Indeed, LinkedIn, all of the things. But if you're really, really interested in getting talent and casting a wide net for that, you have to think differently. And what I mean by that is, reaching out to your local urban league and do they have
Yeah.
a job board? Just thinking a little bit differently around accessing diverse talent. It's not enough just to put it on Indeed or just to put it on LinkedIn. You really need to, your local chamber of commerce, do they have a job board? Just really thinking differently about all of the different places that folks may go to search for employment opportunities, or places where someone might see it and then they're in conversation with a friend that's in fundraising, and that friend's saying, I think I'm ready for a different challenge. I've done everything I can do at this organization. And then that friend says, oh, I saw this great opportunity on the Chamber of Commerce job board, go check it out. So just thinking creatively around where we're putting the information and creating accessibility for all of the talent that's out there.
I love that you mentioned this because I recently was chatting with somebody who had had a very successful career in commercial real estate. And it was a female, and she's like, she's reached a certain age. Her children are, out of the home, educated, starting their own lives. And she's like, I want to move into the nonprofit sector. And she's like, I think I can take, my grit and my connectivity to, that's really been fostered throughout the community and move it towards a totally different thing. And I think that that's a big part of where we are right now in society. People saying, okay, what am I going to do that maybe is different?
Mhm.
And so that might connect us to, like you said, high will, low skill. My God, I'm going to be repeating that like forever now. But you know what I mean, Tony? I mean, people that have like really achieved some amazing things in their life, but they're just not part of the normal social swim in professional fundraising.
Yeah. So, when we talk about where to post these jobs, and and I'm encouraging folks to look at kind of non-traditional channels for that. It's the same thing now when we think about, the talent pool. What are some of the non-traditional places where we can look for talent? And that would be, sales and marketing, and just any role that someone might have served in that was relationship driven or event driven. If they were director of sales for a hotel or oversaw, all of the events at a hotel, I mean, that's someone that is
Yeah.
going to have a lot of those skill sets to support various roles within your development team.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really brilliant. And I think too, it is a great way to get new and fresh ideas into an organization versus just this continual churn and burn, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, which is plaguing our sector. Let's move on to leveraging your networks, because I think this is another thing. Um, I think sometimes we know more people and we're more connected than we realize, and we can easily discount that. But I don't know about you, Tony, but I feel like now that we're going back out and we're being more social and we're engaging mano a mano, I think maybe some of this is being unlocked.
Yeah, I think some of it is being unlocked, and there are more, again, more opportunities to connect face to face. But it's a great reminder. I mean, this, leverage your networks. Every time we say something like this, it seems so 101, right? It's like, oh, leverage your network. Never thought of that. And, it's so 101. But we need these reminders constantly. And those were great reminders that you put up on the screen of the different places that folks can take a look at talent. And, when you're going to networking events, when you think about AFP specifically, if
Yeah.
I'm a hiring manager and I go to a networking event and I meet some rock star fundraiser from another organization and I need someone with that same talent, recruit them. Like
Right.
that's part of what these networking events are all about also, is expanding your network and recognizing opportunities for yourself and others. But there's no shame in recruiting fundraisers in your community. We talk about the revolving door, and how quickly folks move from one organization to another. Uh, and a lot of times that isn't because they were recruited. It's because of a lack of satisfaction in the
Right.
role, or a lack of upward mobility, right? They really haven't met the ceiling. There's no other role for them in the organization. And so they have to look elsewhere. But don't feel guilty about recruiting rock star fundraisers in your community,
Mhm.
and let them make the decision about
Yeah.
where they want to invest their time and talent.
I'm glad you kind of gave us permission to be thinking about that. You know, that poaching word. Um, I remember years ago, I mean, probably 20 years ago, I was at a conference with a board I sat on, and it included the CEO. And I think we traveled to like Houston or Dallas or something. And there was a break, and we, went out. I was in the foyer, came back in, and a board chair of another organization, and an organization similar to ours, but from another part of the country, was like trying to recruit our CEO. And I was just like freaking out. I was like, are you kidding me? I like got really aggressive with this person. I was like, are you kidding me? Really? You're going to do that here now? I mean, we're here for a training and you're trying to poach, the CEO. I was incensed. Um, and it was an interesting visceral response. I mean, I knew that our CEO was, prime pickings for other organizations not just in
Sure.
this specific field, but because they were a good leader. But it was a really interesting thing because I think I shamed everybody out of any future conversation, but I mean, so I appreciate you saying something.
Well, I think, I look at poaching a little differently. I mean, I get that word. I would say you're poaching if you're approaching a development professional to come to your organization because you think they have a portfolio to bring with them. That's poaching.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if you are approaching a development professional to come to your organization because you know they have the talent to build your existing donor base, to nurture the donors that are currently there, then that's good. That's fine and dandy and good business. But if you're approaching a fundraising professional because you're interested in the portfolio that they might bring with them, then shame on you, and that is poaching.
Oh my God. Okay. Again, Tony Beall sets Julia Patrick's hair on fire. I love that you separated that out because that really changes my mindset. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think that that is a brilliant thing that we hadn't addressed. And that is the sanctity of that portfolio, that just because you move somebody or somebody moves organizations doesn't mean that their portfolio is a given.
Oh, it's not a given.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says, it's not a given.
Yeah. I love that you said that. Thank you. That was something that I hadn't even really considered as deeply as you just phrased. And so, yeah, there's a reason why you're the king, because that was like really cool. That was really, really cool. And that changes the lens that I've worked with for all these years. Okay, so we've got not a lot of time left, but I don't want to leave our discussion today without talking about recruiting and agencies that serve the nonprofit sector. We have a longtime sponsor, Staffing Boutique. They're a national recruiting firm just for the nonprofit sector. And then also Interim Executives Academy. They do placement. And not to promote those two businesses specifically, can you share with me what you think about these recruiting agencies and how that might serve us?
Sure. Well, and they are two dynamite examples of these services that exist in the marketplace, Julia. I think most folks would agree, and historically we've seen that recruiting agencies are usually used because there is an investment in using a recruiting agency.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I specifically always use the term investment versus expense because there is a value add to the investment when you use a recruiting agency. Those are typically used for executive director, C-suite level titles, sometimes for director level title. But what you will find when you engage with recruiting agencies is that you will be connecting with folks that understand the market. They understand, not when I say market, I mean the market, not only the nonprofit landscape, but again, what does the talent pool look like? They really understand the market. They're going to be able to help guide you in terms of what that salary range may need to look like. They may be able to help guide you in fine tuning the job description so that there's, I don't know, a heavier emphasis on core competencies. Again, there's just so much value that a recruiter can bring to an organization. That the time that's saved, you're not going through all of the resumes. They're kind of handling that and doing like the first connection with the talent. So I think there's a lot of value, in using recruiting agencies. And regardless of, I guess the other thing I would say, and I'm kind of making assumptions on the kindness of some of these recruiting agencies. But if you have a role, reach out to them and let them know that you have a role. And they might say that, well, we don't typically recruit for a development assistant, but they may very well have had someone who doesn't qualify for more based on talent or skill or experience at this point. Someone reach out to them that doesn't qualify for anything more than development assistant. currently, and they may be able to share some of that. So reach out to, don't hesitate, I guess is what I would say, to reach
Yeah.
out to recruitment agencies and let them know about the roles that you have available and see how they might be able to support you.
Right. I love that comment too, because it seems to me from just, a casual observation that if you're not familiar with the whole staffing and recruiting environment and the landscape with how they work, it's very intimidating. But then I find that for organizations, once they engage with that professional, you know, um, process,
Mhm.
they're all in.
Mhm.
They're just like, holy moly, this saved me so much time and money and energy, and it narrowed the funnel. And so it's kind of an interesting aspect of labor management, and especially in the nonprofit sector where we haven't really used it. It's somewhat of a new thing. So
Sure.
yeah, super cool.
Well,
Well,
especially small and medium-sized organizations, and they don't have the luxury of when we talk about higher ed and
Mhm.
hospital districts. I mean, they have talent acquisition teams, and there's like some of them have been diminished, over the last couple of years, but they still have them. Uh, so small to medium-sized organizations really can benefit from the
Yeah.
support of a recruiter.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a really cool thing to be thinking about. Well, you always give us a lot to think about. We always have a lot of questions and comments. I mean, Tony and I, people ask us things, they communicate with us, and a lot of that interest or questions, issues, um, that's turned into shows for us, right? That's turned into deeper discussions. And so send us your questions. We'll keep them anonymous, or we'll maybe we can align you with somebody. As Tony just brought up that wonderful example with a recruiting firm. I mean, you just never know where some of these conversations will take you and us. So reach out to us at info@americannonprofitacademy.com. Secret hint, this goes right to the mailbox of our executive director, or not executive director, executive producer, Kevin Pace. So if you want to get on Kevin's good side, this is where it goes.
Well,
But
Kevin, the executive producer, who was also a huge catalyst in encouraging us and guiding us and letting us know that a book collaboration was possible. So
it's true.
thank you, Kevin, for your trust and vision in us that we may not have necessarily seen.
Wow, you are so nice. Now Kevin is going to be miserable to live with the rest of this day. I mean, we might have to like close office hours early today because he's just going to be like lording this over.
It's Friday.
Friday. Yeah, I'm going to be like, Kevin, take the rest of the afternoon off, my friend. But anyway, well, yeah, reach out. Oh, I love, you're welcome. You're welcome. He's like, put that on the screen. Oh, man. See, we've created a monster, Tony. We've created a monster.
In the best way.
Well, who also is amazing, an amazing part of our team are our stunning sponsors. They include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, JMT Consulting, Interim Executives Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, and of course us, Fundraisers Friday. So these are the folks that make a difference. Tony, thank you as always. You expand my horizons, and you give me positive steps to take that are magically achievable. Sometimes, we have experts and we have guests on the show, and they say things and it's like, yeah, but that's not reality. That's never going to happen. But you always seem to deliver strategies for us that are practical and, like I said, achievable. So thank you.
Super. No, thank you. I mean, these topics always challenge me too to think about my experience, to just think about what's happening now. Yeah. So I'm super grateful for the opportunity.
It's a
So
lot
thank
of
you,
fun.
Julia. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. And as we move into a weekend, we want to remind everyone to stay well so you can do well. Thanks, everyone.